are listening to the Surviving Maine Behind the Scenes podcast with me, as always, the gorgeous George, production manager for season 4. Hey George, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Happy to be back for another round of fun.
And we have two special guests this week. Back and better than ever, it's Addison. Addison, where are you located right now?
I am currently across the wall from Topher.
Speaking of Topher, hey Topher!
Howdy.
Our merge boot, robbed goddess of season 4. Okay, so how has it been, Topher, watching yourself on this show? How did you feel watching your torch get snuffed tonight?
It's been fun. It's like weird watching yourself on TV. Like, I don't know. It's just I'm not used to that. Like the way I sound, and it's just like, but it's also just really fun and like so many things you don't remember because it was like a year ago, and then like so many little moments that just get lost, like that you get to relive is really fun. And it's fun too. Like obviously, I live with Adam and Kiefer, and then Callie comes over often, and then nights like tonight, Addison comes, and TJ's in like we just get to watch it with each other, which is super fun because we all have like little tidbits of like behind the scenes stuff that we remember. So it's been very fun, and it's just like it was such a cool thing to have done. That getting to relive it is like also really cool. So thank you for the episodes; they've been lovely.
You're welcome. You, Topher, have been one of my favorites. I think I made that clear to you, and my wife also. I told Topher I was editing episode 10 before she had seen episode 9, and someone says something about, oh sorry, I voted out Topher, and Becky overheard that, and from the other room she's like, no, that's Topher. It was so cute, and I felt that too. So I think I think you're a fan favorite.
Oh, stop it.
I think it's true.
I think Adam's a fan. He's a fan favorite of mine.
You and George both.
Well,
George
I feel
has
like
some kind of man crush on.
I do love Adam.
I mean, it's like Taylor, you're the Toph head.
Yeah.
George, you're the Adam head. Addison, you're the Kite head.
Yes.
The person I never filmed with until he got voted out. Yeah.
I mean, you have the most full picture of Kiefer. You know, the world was robbed of Kite.
What came across from you, Topher, from my perspective, was just how much fun you were having out there. You were loving every minute. Like it was stressful, yes, but the fun that you were having superseded any anxiety that was going on. And that's what came across to me anyway. It just felt like you were living your best life out there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it was very fun. And like, I don't know, like I think it's funny where like Kiefer after this was like, oh my gosh, the lying, like that was so hard for me. It's not like it's unnatural. And I'm like, oh my God, that was the most fun part. Like just lying to people's faces and like, I don't know. I got wrapped up in it and I had a blast. Like even when I was getting my torch stuff, I was like, this is cool. This is fun. It was a once in a lifetime experience kind of thing.
You played any other LRGs since?
I haven't. I would consider it. The timing would just need to work out because like I'm a teacher and it's like taking time off. It's hard to do, so it kind of have to be in the summer, and I work in the summer some. So like if the timing were right, I would. But I have not as of yet. But I think I wouldn't count myself out for doing something like this again.
Good.
Would you apply to CBS?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
I have a few times, but like never.
What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them?
I don't know. I like applied the moment I turned 18, and it's like I watch my video and it's like bad. Like, I don't know. Just like I don't know. Maybe one day, but I didn't apply this year. I don't think because like just where I'm at, like my career would make sense. Like I don't know, but I would. It'd be fun. It's like you look in my 5th grade yearbook. It's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like Survivor winner. So like it's a good idea for a while, but who knows?
What do you teach, Toph?
I teach 9th and 10th grade history.
Oh.
So I was a substitute teacher when I was on the show, but I'm teaching normal now.
So you got a full-time gig. That's great.
You would
Yeah,
have
so I
fit
just finished my
perfectly in
first
on
year going
season
into my
3.
second.
There
What?
were so many teachers on season 3. That was
Oh,
the
yes.
season for you.
Should have been on the next one.
You could have, who was it? Was Mike, Stephanie, like there was like a good solid
Dawn.
3 of,
Yeah.
yeah, there were so many teachers.
So what do we think about Topher, what was your reaction to Lauren coming back?
Like at the time, I'm like, this is the worst case scenario because I'm like, Kiefer comes back. Obviously, that's like a slam dunk. But I'm also like, I was also like at that point, I think I was like really like, oh, this the new Sebago six is what's gonna take me through. Like even more so than having Adam on the other side. Like no, like okay, this 6-person tribe like wants to stick together. So I was like, anyone that the other tribe had voted out, like so Sandra, I'm like, she's gonna be bitter. She'll join us. Shaylee, she's good with Allison and Dave. Like she'd join us. Just thinking like who would be good for us. Like even Mary, I'm like she. I don't know. I was like just not Lauren because
Anyone but Lauren.
Lauren, I would like jump to the other side. But I didn't know that my side was about to fracture like instantly, and Lauren coming back was actually like kind of a good thing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But going thinking like, oh, my 6-person New Sebago tribe's gonna stick together. I just wanted anyone who was not Lauren, the only person we voted out.
And then she ends up wanting to work with you and being like genuine about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Did you feel that she was being genuine when she
I
said
did.
that?
I feel like she is someone who like when she was in the game, I was always like, I don't know if she like because I knew she was gunning for me like the one round we played together, so like I didn't trust her then. But when she came back in, she was like a sieve of information, like, and she said that she's like, I don't even care who. Like she was telling everybody everything and like burning every bridge she had with Zach and Dave. So I'm like this isn't like a trick. Like she's genuinely hurt and wants to go after these two people. So like I didn't know how much she trusted me, but I did know at the very least that she did not trust Zach and Dave.
And she was such an interesting person to come back because that's exactly what she had been like at Exile, where the second she got there to the second they were walking up for the challenge, was like, here's all the information. You cannot trust Dave. Dave can choke. She was like, Zach has an idol, blah, blah, blah. She laid everything out. And so then for her to be the one that comes back was so fun. And she was sort of a lot of spearheading the idea around like, let's pool our shots in the dark. And
Mhm.
what we saw that in the episode, what's crazy is if Madison and if Aaron had gone to Exile 2, because Shay had played hers, but they would have had 6. Whoever came back would have had enough to buy an idol, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy, but would have been so fun if that had played out, but they were only able to get 4 together. But that's still a lot to have.
So, Addison, you were out in the brush with them while you were waiting for an exorbitant amount of time to get that beat going.
Yeah.
It was really, really tough to pull off that surprise.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, in order to pull that surprise off, we had to put some really good people in a really awful position. And that is basically waiting in a swamp filled with ticks
Yeah.
in order to pull off a big surprise. Talk to me about that, Addison.
Is this where I go on a 30-minute rant?
No,
No, I know.
it's when you
I'm kidding.
succinctly answer the
I'm
question.
kidding. We were probably back there for it felt like 30 minutes. I have described it as some of the most brutal 30 minutes of my life. So back there is like in the brush. Like people don't go back there. There's not paths. There's nothing. We are in the woods. So I'm picking a tick off of me probably every few seconds, and then there just keeps being another one coming up. I had been under the impression, and the Exile people have been under the impression that the Exile people coming out was happening before the immunity challenge. Then the Exile people would play, and then the Mergatory challenge would happen with everybody else. That's not how it played out. It played out how it did in the episode. So I was huddling back there with them as over the radio, we kept getting like hey, can you guys go a little further back just to make sure you're not visible? And we're like, no, because it was so bad. Poor Lauren, it makes it a little bit into the episode, but her winning the comeback challenge, which was about having steady hands and everything, is one of the most impressive things we've ever seen because she is kind of claustrophobic. So we were all so huddled together. And that combined with just like the situation of like there's ticks everywhere. she was like, I was on the radio, like I think you have to pause the challenge. Like I genuinely think, like it's it. Like everyone's gonna walk out. Like that's gonna be the reveal gone. Because I was like, I don't know that I can convince people to stay back here any longer. And I'm so glad and proud of everyone who is in exile for holding on back there, because I kept being like, I promise. I'm like, three people have won. We just need two more. They're almost done. I promise they're almost done. But it was very rough back there, but it makes Lauren being able to compose herself in such a way for a challenge that needs you to have steady hands, not be shaking all over the place, so much more impressive. Because
Mm.
I was like, there's no shot she's coming back, because I knew what the challenge was. I was like, there is no way she is going to be able to do that. And so it
I
was
remember
very
when
impressive.
I remember when Lauren I was called back there for like backup for you.
Yeah,
And I remember my one thought was we're gonna lose Lauren.
yeah,
Lauren had crossed over. Lauren was out for the count. She was very like in her feelings and like you said, claustrophobic. I was like, she's gonna walk. She's not gonna do this. And I think she even was considering it. So the fact that she came back and won, like you said, Addison, was huge. And I want to bring something up about Lauren as well. A few podcasts ago, I was a little hard on Lauren because she seemingly was bashing production for whatever. She was up there forever. She was just talking about production in a way that sort of made me see red because I'm very sensitive to these things. And after the episode aired, I just have to say that I had a conversation with Lauren, and when she explained it to me, it made sense. It was part of her strategy, and I was a little too blind to that.
Mm.
I just saw somebody bashing the episode, but she was trying to downplay something for her own game. And I just like to own up to being a little too hard on Lauren because Lauren's a great girl. Lauren worked on production for my game and she was essential. So that's why it stung a little bit to hear her
Right.
say that because I knew her as the contrary to the way that she was behaving. She was an incredible crew member for me and was heavily relied on. So I just want to say that I was a little too hard on Lauren. And I think that any game that has Lauren as a player or a crew person is lucky. She may talk a little bit too much, and she admits it. But that's really the only negative that I could say is that she might talk a little too much. But she's a good person. She's a good player, and she is an incredible crew person as well. Um, Heavily relied on her in my game. So I just want to give her that because I took it personally, and I probably shouldn't have.
That's good of you to
yeah.
admit, George. And
Oh,
And,
yeah, I think we're
but it's
all
true.
we're all blessed to have Lauren back in the game because she's bringing
yeah.
chaos, and that's what we want.
I said I was like, I would have been happy with anyone coming back. Selfishly, I was a little bit hoping it wasn't Sandra, not from anything personal, but I was like, I kind of want one of the people who spent the night out there to come back.
Mm,
But Sandra would have been very entertaining too. But I was like,
yes.
Lauren is so the most entertaining person to come back because she is mad. And she is to paraphrase a very viral tweet, she came on this bitch mad as hell. And she was all right, merch feast. Okay, let's go. Here's what we need to get out. Again, Dave can choke. Like she did not waste a moment upon coming back to be like, and you know what? I am upset.
Went on a rampage. She wanted Dave out, and I know Dave, and Dave is one of the best people in my life. I could say that,
Yeah.
and so to see him get that sort of like witch hunt
Mm.
was hard for me to watch because I knew that it was just coming from one person's hurt feelings, and it all but ruined his game at that. If the idol hadn't been played.
Yeah.
What was your interactions with Dave Topher? Anything? How much did you play with him up until
So,
this point?
I mean, we had been on the swap Sebago tribe together, and we were like I feel like we were sort of like in a honeymoon, like on New Sebago. Like we won the first challenge, then we lost, got Lauren out, then we won 2 challenges in a row. We got like the pasta dinner together. Like we were just like on a winning streak. We had voted unanimously to get Lauren out, so like there felt like an abundance of good vibes on our tribe. And that extended to like Dave, Allison, Zach, and then like my original Mooseheads. I will say like I did what I probably should have done and didn't do. And I feel like Allison alluded to this is like I didn't make an active effort to like have a lot of one-on-one conversations. So like I hadn't made like a solid one-on-one connection with Dave and like a solid one-on-one connection with Allison. It's like us two one-on-one weren't like super like lockstep, but we like I was very much under the impression that we were in the same alliance. And to that point, he was someone I was like, okay, this is someone who, as long as our interests align, we will work together. Our interests just didn't align for very long.
Do you think at all that not talking to as many people, not having as many one-on-ones and forming those like single specific relationships is at all because you came into the game with 3 people that you said, okay, like we can all trust each other completely implicitly. So do you think that came into why you did that at all?
I think probably like I don't think I was doing it actively. Like I have these people,
Yeah.
so I don't need to talk to these people. I do think it was like from the start, like Kiefer and Adam had to make new connections on their tribes. I had Callie. Like I knew Callie. It's like at the time, like we were friends, but we were very new friends, like kind of like in this a same friend group, but like hadn't really built a strong connection. But now like Callie and I are tight now. We hang out all the time. But at like on Moosehead, I was like, okay, Callie's obviously my number one. So those conversations I always had with Callie. And then we were on the same swap tribe. So like those important conversations I had with Callie. So I guess I didn't like make another number one because I knew I had Callie. Like I'd say Nick was a close like confidant as well. But I think at the swap, I probably missed an opportunity to like make stronger one-on-one connections. Probably in part to having definitely Callie on my tribe the whole time.
Do you think Adam was surprised when Seth called him out for not including him on the vote? Because that seemed like a very awkward moment. There was that scene where you don't see Seth, but you hear him and you're reading what he's saying because we have subtitles. But he puts it down on the spot. And do you think that was a surprise that Seth was brazen enough to say, yeah, that was a little messed up that you did that?
I mean,
Do you think, yeah.
I got to play with Seth for literally just this one round, so like I didn't play with him a ton, but everything I've seen and heard of Seth is like he keeps his cards close to his chest. He's a man of few words. He's reserved. He's respectful. Like so, I think it was really cool to watch, like see Seth just actually kind of lose it a little bit on Adam, and it's the perfect person because like truly Adam and I were like so close and we fight all the like we're just strong personalities and we go head to head all the time. So it's like it was funny because I'm like, oh, I know this Adam. I know Adam in a confrontation, but I don't know Seth in a confrontation. So it was really fun to see that.
Did Adam act according to the way you thought he would in that moment, knowing him, or he was being a little more reserved because he wasn't really close with Seth?
I think he's probably being a little bit more reserved, but I like it was like I was watching that. I'm like, oh, I've seen this Adam before. I've seen like Adam like on the defense. I've seen Adam on the offense. Like, well, I don't know. It was really funny to watch.
I loved the
Is,
Adam monologue at the start of the episode.
Yeah,
It was just like 5 uninterrupted minutes of him talking.
yeah.
is
And
there
then and
anything that
Adam was
you
like, it's
is
like,
there
go.
anything that you learned from the people that you knew going into the game? Has anything surprised you about the people that you knew while you were going into the game, just watching these episodes back? Is there anything that surprised you from watching it?
Um, I don't. I mean, I feel
Everyone
like
acted.
we debriefed it to death. Like the 4 of us, like definitely Adam, Kife, and me, but also Callie. Like we just debriefed. Like we drove home together, talked about it. We like got breakfast the next day, talked about it. And I think just like once you do this, it just sort of like it's lingering in the back of your head, and then having people so available to talk to about. Like I feel like even before watching the episodes, I knew a lot about what had happened. So it wasn't so much surprising. And a lot of things like I was like watching Kiefer, I'm like, oh my god, that's so Kiefer. And watching Adam, oh, that's so Adam. Like, and just the way it all played out, like I do think it does. And so, like obviously, like there's a story being told, and not everything gets in there, but it does feel very true to like the people I know and like how I expect them to interact with people. Like nobody was going completely rogue, acting like a different person.
Has there
And
been anything in that you remember happening that hasn't been in an episode that you wish it had been, or anything like
Uh,
that?
I feel like sometimes the things that get taken out, at least from what I've noticed, are the things that like add the suspense to the viewer. Like things that seem more up in the air when you're watching it. Like you're like, oh, but like we worked this kink out, we figured this out beforehand. But like obviously, as an editor, you need to take that out, or else it's like
Yes.
not fun to watch. So some
Right.
of those moments, like even just the first vote, like when Callie and I had the plan to like vote for Amelia, but get her to play the like a lot of that. Like I felt like that would plan like the way it came together. Like we had flushed it out, but it was only like a blip in the episode because like you
Mm-hmm.
needed to do that and stuff like that. But I don't feel like anything was like omitted that was glaring or anything.
Good.
When Lauren came back from exile, she came with a barrage of information. There's a lot of stuff a lot of new info. Of that new info, what if you remember, what shocked you the most? What was the thing that you felt like you could hook into and use to better your game moving forward?
I mean, I think definitely everything she said about Zach and Dave was very eye-opening. Like Dave, she was right. Like Dave plays the, oh, I'm just a dad. I'm just like, I'm taking this big leap. I've never done anything like this before. I don't know how to make fire. And he's like literally studying this for hours and hours, and he's done a million. And so, and like that was surprising to me. But in hindsight, I'm like, why would somebody from Philly like drive to Maine for
Mm-hmm.
their first one? That should have raised an eyebrow for me. I should have been like, why is this guy from Philly just driving to Maine if he's never done something like this? Like that could like I don't know, that was something that I should have thought about. And then Zach having an idol, like I was one of the many people who somehow totally missed that whole thing play out and seeing hearing that Zach had an idol. And it's funny because obviously that was the idol that did me in, but even hearing it like that the whole sequence of things happening didn't cross my mind at that point. But finding out Zach had an idol, I was like, okay, this is important to know. Store that for later. Did not do anything for me, but
And I think Lauren and Dave really benefited from this not being as LRG heavy of a group
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I walked in on the first day I saw Lauren and Dave, and I went, "Oh, Lauren and Dave," and I was like, "Oh, interesting, they played together," because I watched their season of Survivor Philadelphia, so I knew immediately. I was like, "Oh, interesting," but then that wasn't something that really anyone else knew that got out outside of them talking about it, mostly
mm-hmm.
because this wasn't a group. Like if they'd been on season 3, it would have been about 2 seconds in before everybody knew, okay, those two played
Yeah.
together and all of
Right.
that, because this was such a less LRG heavy
Mm-hmm.
group, which made for that to be able to become like information that is currency throughout the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, no one on
Yeah, it
my
was like
tribe was an LRG
no.
person. And it was funny too watching because everyone's always like, yeah, Sandra and Adam did games. And Adam's always watching, like, I didn't. I didn't. And it was just such a lie that was the truth in the game was that Adam had played one before. I don't know why. I think because Adam will sometimes just speak really confidently about things, even if he's not experienced them. So I think people just assumed he's done them before.
Didn't he
Because
play
that's
a college version?
that I was the host of. Like
Does it count?
and like Topher was in it too. And it was literally just our graduation trip in the Outer Banks with like our group of friends. Like if he went around telling people he did that, that was stupid.
I don't think he did.
Do you think that Lauren coming in and telling everybody about Zach's idol made him more prone to play it on Dave when the time came at the tribal?
I mean, probably. Like I'm sure the news got back to him before Tribal that Lauren had. Like I don't know if that makes the episode, but I'd be shocked if he didn't know prior to that Tribal that Lauren had told everybody that because it felt like the fastest spreading secret of the merge round was that Zach had an idol.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that made him be like, hmm?
there was no footage of anyone telling him or of him saying that people knew. So I don't know.
So maybe it didn't. I don't know. But if he like, I think he knew at least like Lauren came back and she knew beforehand. Like, so he probably
Yeah.
thought like it's a ticking time bomb, whether he knew she
Right.
had already or that she was going to. He knew Lauren being back was guaranteed gonna leak that he had his idol. So I think it probably made him a little trigger happy. Like like this thing's gonna blow. I need to just get rid of it before it blows up my game. I'm sure that was part of it because you see even like 1 or 2 episodes before, he's like, I wouldn't play this on Dave, which was very good foreshadowing.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure that made him a little bit quick to play it.
Were you
I just
surprised Callie? Oh, were you surprised Callie didn't play her idol on you once the idol got played on Dave?
No, because for one, like we didn't have like we knew or we had hoped and we were correct that we did have the majority like to vote on Dave, but we didn't have a strong enough majority to like do any split vote thing. Because if we had tried to split votes, then it becomes the minority. So like I it would be surprising for her to do that, knowing that if she plays the idol on me, we have a potential of a 0 vote round, and then
she's
he goes in
Yeah.
on a revote like little like I still don't really know why Zach voted Amelia in that round, but like I guess she would have gone home, but like to Callie's knowledge, votes were either me or Dave.
Exactly.
A revote means that she's now vulnerable without her idol, and she had told me beforehand that she wouldn't play it on me, so I was like, damn it.
And that was even me forgetting that Callie was vulnerable. Like it seemed most of the people in the episode did. Like it was so impressive. At some point, there was a plan for each of every 4 people were going to be voted out. Callie, there was never any cohesive plan.
He was so insulated. It was crazy.
It just wasn't a consideration really that anyone had of voting out Callie, and everyone else came up. At least there was a like maybe. But Callie, everyone seemed to just immediately understand, like, well, it's not going to be Callie, so who passed that?
Yeah, and it's funny too. There's that scene where they're like, well, it sounds like Callie and Topher are close, and Callie and Amelia are close. So do we take out Callie or Amelia to break them up? And it's never like, what if we get Callie out to like, because she like, it's just those two things don't click. Like she was just well insulated that round.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's playing a good game. If you're invisible to people, she said it best. You're either a goat or you're playing a really good strategic game. And I guess it's gonna remain to be seen which of those plays out. Something, 2 things cracked me up, and if I want to see if you both the Dave and TJ popping out of the tires was inspired lunacy. I want to take credit for filming that. I don't remember who filmed that, but do you remember whose footage that was? Dave seems to remember it as me.
I don't think it was you.
TJ said that it was Dave's idea to do that.
Absolutely, Dave's idea for sure, but I don't know.
Was it Andy?
Andy. It might have been Andy.
It might have been Andy.
Yeah.
Or Jess.
That was funny.
No, it was definitely not Jess. But it could have been Brandon.
My favorite thing watching back this season is saying confidently, like, oh my God, I remember filming this. And I did that tonight, and Adam went, Addison, you're walking through the background of the shot. I was like, oh my God, I absolutely filmed this. This was so mean. He was like, you were literally right there. I can see you. It's like, oh, yeah.
And then there's a moment when Lauren is talking about the bathroom situation in Exile.
And
Allison has a moment. You're disgusting. I rewound about 4 or 5 times. Those are my 2 little notes. She just kind of went like, you had a shit in a bag. Like it was just.
Nick looks at the camera and puts his glasses up, like staring at the camera, like making a point. Like, you made them shit in the back. What the fuck?
Was the one part of Exile I had nothing to do with, no hand, and I was more than happy to leave that separate. They would wait till I left, and I was like, good, because I don't want anything to do with this. I'm so happy to see it. It's my moment of the season. In both of the seasons I filmed, there's one piece of footage that I'm like, I need to hold on to that because I love that so much. And it finally made it in. It's when I pull Topher and Adam, and they sit down under the thing, and they go, we're roommates. Because for like 90% of production, that was the first we learned of that. And I'm sitting behind the camera, and they're like, and we know Callie, and Gabriel's our roommate too. And I'm sitting there like, I can't move the camera. I'm filming this. I'm a camera person. But inside, I'm like, what is going on? Because I did not know that. Most of us were just learning that. And I got home, immediately turned the into a GIF because I was like, that is one of my moments of the season.
You texted it to me right away. You were like, did you know about this? What the fuck is this?
I immediately texted Taylor and I was like, did you know? And if so, why did you not like give me a heads up? Like, why am I getting blindsided by this?
For more on that, you can watch Topher's exit interview, which will come out probably before this, so it's already on YouTube.
I don't even remember. That was so long ago.
How did you sleep out there, Topher? Did you get much sleep at night?
So the first night I was Chihuahua mode, as I think the show showed. I still am like, that was so stupid. I literally brought like my backpacking sleeping bag that is like, so it's basically
Oh,
just
right.
it's like a sheet, like it's not insulated. So I was very cold, but I think the second night I got hip to putting like rocks from the fire into the bottom of your sleeping bag.
Oh,
And
interesting.
that made it nice and toasty, and it was just a warmer night. I was real close to the fire. So second night was great. Um, and then I was obviously the first one on the jury, and I brought a big like 6-person tent. So then
Yes.
my tent literally just becomes like the jury villa, like because
Aw.
everyone in the
It
jury
was
just sleeps in my
the
tent.
fact that you were the first juror with that giant tent was so
It was
clutch because
great.
we're like,
I
oh
think
my
you went
god,
far from George's chalet.
we have places to put people. Thank God.
But yeah, it's just the first night was probably the worst, but it was fine. I like camping.
I agree. I haven't camped since I was in Boy Scouts, and the first night I didn't zip the tent. I didn't fully insulate myself, and when I woke up, um, I started laughing through crying because I had never ever in my life been that cold before, and I had to go to the bathroom. I had to, do what you do in the morning, and there was absolutely no way that I was going to get up from that spot because I knew it was just going to be over. I even contemplated just letting it go and just warming myself up because I was never that cold before in my life. And I was hysterically laughing at how absolutely miserable I was. It was just the funniest thing that I put myself in, didn't do any research, didn't consider morning dew and in how cold it is. By night three, I had it figured out. Night two, I split the difference, and I was like, no, 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 I have to go to sleep with thermals, everything over, and by night three, I was good. But
There's a reason by year two, Brandon, Jess, and I got a hotel room.
Same with
That was
me and
the
Becky.
that was the Taylor and Becky special when they disappeared overnight the first night of season 3.
I was like, we're not
I
doing this.
wish I would have known that was an option. I got to be honest. I had no idea. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna camp. I'm gonna smoke weed in the woods. I'm gonna have the best time of my life.
Yeah. No.
I could have
Not
done the
not quite.
tent and the sleeping bag. It was the no access to like a shower or any comfort for 4 days that I was like, I just need to be able to rinse off after a day because those are long days. I was like, I just need one shower and then I'm fine.
I was the filthiest I ever was in my life.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't go a day without showering. By day three, it was just I looked like I rolled down a hill somewhere and just it was the element it was great. I wouldn't change any of it for the world, but it was definitely a humbling experience for this pampered New Yorker.
Topher, when you went and had your first shower and everything after getting voted out, were you surprised at the level of grime or not? Because you're a camper, outdoorsy person, like
I
a
don't know if it's the
inside cat.
dirtiest I've been, but it's definitely up there. I also like this episode, like I took ash and tried to make like warrior paint. And, like, you can see when and like at tribal council, like I can't remember if it was sunscreen in my eye or smoke, but like my
Yes.
eye is shut. I'm like I look like a pirate, and I'm
Poor
like, oh, God, I
Topher.
hope it doesn't look like I'm crying, but I'm just like I can't open my eye because there's so much stuff in it,
It was sunscreen in your eye, and you poor
and
little
every chance I'm
watery
like, oh.
eye.
Uh, so
Becky
that
was like,
I was
"What's
most
wrong with
excited.
him?"
Yeah, I was most excited for the shower just to like get the sunscreen off my face and the smoke. I was just like, but after that, I was great.
It was so funny in your like parting words as you're exiting, just watching be like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just so sad about getting voted out and done. It's like,
I
are
know.
you trying to still wipe the sunscreen out of your eye?
Yeah. Oh my God, it was bad. And even I think you'll see on the jury, like the smoke is a real thing, and a lot of the jury, I'm just like this, like trying to watch, not getting anything in my eyes.
That
So
was it was
what are
during
we
the
missing? What haven't we spoken about from this episode? There's some really good moments. I think we covered a lot of them.
I only have notes on what didn't make the cut, or
Go for it.
I guess
well, what didn't make the cut?
just explanations of like, oh, Zach's podium fell over while they were doing the challenge.
Oh yeah, and
So
that's why
it's a
then there were
huge
people sitting on them.
yeah. So like, probably most people don't notice, but when the challenge starts, there's no one there, and then midway through, suddenly there are just people sitting at the end of everyone's stations because Zach's podium had fell over. And it was funny while they were all paused. Everyone had to stop and just freeze where they were. Addison is in the middle, like holding a rope with a block under her chin, and she's like, "This is so unfair," because you had just had to stop while they fixed Zach's shit.
There was
And
like
then there was a bunch of
1 second.
missing footage, so I couldn't get good shots of a bunch of people, such as Zach.
Was Shaylee's was the footage I filmed of Shaylee because we were like,
I
why
was
isn't
missing
Shaylee in this?
because
And
you. Yeah,
I was like, oh, I'm filming that, and I was
that's
like,
you.
I know that I had an issue with storage,
Yeah,
and so I lost some of my footage, and I was like, oh no, did I lose the footage of her doing the challenge? And
you
that's why
did.
we
Yeah,
basically okay.
it's okay. I was like not gonna call you out on it, but so it was
It
you,
was.
and then Dan's footage of Zach was missing, and one other. There, I think there was a camera on Callie, and that was also missing. But yeah,
There
you were
was
on Shaylee.
when there was like the 4 cam, and we were like, why isn't Shaylee on? And then I saw
Yeah,
myself filming her, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, I bet that was one of the things that got lost to the ether.
yeah.
That's why
That's a
you
very
just have
hard
to be
challenge.
there, Taylor.
Right. I could have fixed everything if I had just been there to download everything meticulously. The only other thing was that everyone hated the feast. I think that was the bag
Yes,
of eggs, George. Was that the bag of eggs that
it
they
was it was breakfast that production had eaten probably an hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
froze? They got the cold. Yeah, so like Adam's like the eggs were cold. I was like, that's beautiful.
So we had to make do when it
Yeah,
came to food
yeah.
because the person who was supposed to be on food threw up their hands and said, "I'm not doing this," and sort of left. So
Oh my
there's the
god.
tea there.
Yeah,
So we had to improvise and figure shit out for ourselves.
yeah.
If you guys in the cast were starving, the crew was starving right along with you.
Yes.
We had to make do, and it was peanut butter and stale bread and whatever it was, we made do. So when it came time for a feast, you feasted as well as the crew in that moment,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it was like a scramble of like, okay, what food is there? I guess we'll get something together. And there you go, have fun.
Oh, that reminds me, this was like the first, or I guess the second morning, the first morning. Uh, Taylor will like send clips that don't make the episodes just in our like group chat, and there's this video of like Callie and I talking about the first tribal council, and then all of a sudden you just hear I forget who it was on production, but
Brandon. It's
yeah,
Brandon.
Brandon stomach just growling so loudly, and we both look at him and we're like, "You're eating." Like,
No,
He
what's
was
your
not quite.
stomach growling? Um,
Yeah, the food situation was, it
That
was what it was,
in
sadly.
Let
season
me just say, just because when Surviving Maine All Stars happens, it will be different. Don't worry, everyone. I'll be in charge. I'll make sure everyone is fed. Everyone will get good food.
there's so much production that goes into it and everything. So it's like because it's that there's
You
a
need a
lot of
crazy
people involved.
person. You need a
Yeah.
crazy person like me in charge. And George, like if we're in
And
charge, everything will be beautiful and wonderful. We will be in pain and everyone else will be good.
Topher, not to put you on the spot, but did you feel like you were taken care of as far as from a production point of view?
yeah, and like from the second I was voted out, I was eating good. I think I just went to the snack table and just like there was like fruit roll-ups. Like I never eat fruit roll-ups and like sodas and beers, and I remember in the distance, because I couldn't interact with the pre-jurors, but just watching Topher and Mary have a lot of fun with the alcohol and being a little bit jealous. Um, but yeah, it was fun.
But
And like,
even when
like
you
there
were
was
in the
an
game,
abundance of like bug spray and sunscreen. I remember every time I saw you, George, you're like, you need more sunscreen.
What was
I
so
was
hot and so dry your
I was like
season.
babushka mode with my buff the entire time. I was
as long as you felt taken care of, that was
Yeah.
my concern. I wanted everybody to feel like there was someone there that cared and that you know, was in your corner, even though you were playing this crazy game.
And you had a
Um,
great jury handler, just gonna
like,
say.
yes, oh my god.
who did
Roller
that?
context, right? It's the role I'm meant to play. I love just like it's so funny is in last season and this season is like now as we're getting to the merge, I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see what happened because I was basically just like would help kind of with the challenges and would like see a little bit of that and like watch tribal, but I wasn't with the people filming during it because one, just as there's less people, there's less need for cameras, and two, because I would be basically just with the jury. So I was like, I have a better idea than anyone else who's gonna win, but I
Yeah.
have no idea who's gonna get voted out next. So that makes it allows me, even though I was production, to actually like watch the season and not have no like I don't really remember the boot order from here up until we get like right to the end because I'm like I remember who's out in the middle, but I don't remember what order they go out, or and certainly don't know how they come to be voted out.
Mm-hmm. That's fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it for that reason. I had my perspective on what was going on. I didn't, there are people who I was convinced just were not playing at all out there, who I'm happy to say, like Seth, for one. I didn't think Seth was playing. I thought he was in over his head, but watching these episodes, he was in there.
He
He was
was.
in the mix. He was going for it. So I was happy to be wrong there.
When Seth
Uh,
activates, he activates.
yeah, Seth is a good guy. I like Seth a lot. He's a good guy, and I'm happy that he's playing the game. And I was wrong about that he wasn't. Um,
There's a moment coming up very soon where he's doing a confessional and Andy's doing it with him and he asks him, how are you liking this game? And Seth's like, it's so stressful and I'm having so much fun. And I was like, yes, he loves
Yes.
this. He's like, I'm learning how to lie and manipulate people and I'm having so much fun. I was like,
I went to
yes,
take
Seth.
that home with me.
Yeah. How about the Tiki for this episode? Who do you think that should go to?
I didn't even think about this. Do we go with Zach for playing that idol? But is that it's a fun in the moment, good TV, but we don't know how that's going to play out in subsequent episodes.
Adam
Um,
did pretty good at sort of rallying a lot of the votes around, but then ultimately lost one of his closest allies.
Right. This is a hard one.
I'm going to go with, and not because I owed her an apology, I'm going to go with Lauren. And the reason I'm going to go with Lauren is that a lot of people up until that point pretty much knew where the game was going, knew who was what was going on, uh, and they had their maybe they had their path to the end a little bit clearer than you know. But I think that Lauren coming into the game and dragging Dave, dragging Zach, and just being the ball of chaos that she is, turned this game kind of on its head by coming back. So I think that Lauren, for me, will get the Tiki for this episode because she pulled the rug out from a lot of people by coming back.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's a good one. I would give it to Adam, even though I love Lauren. I would give it to Adam because he really did like he saw two people he wanted to work with in Amelia and Topher, all the chatters that they're getting votes, and he did all the work to turn that around and get in on Dave. And Lauren is actually really instrumental in that too, because it was like her revenge that fueled that a lot, but he was the one that had the most connections to really make it happen. So, and they did have the majority, so I loved that. But this is a hard one because like it didn't work out for Adam either.
It's like the votes versus the result of like which side do you weight more than the other?
Right. So maybe it's Zach. Who's voting for Zach? Come on. Instinct. Make a case for Zach so we can have a 3-way tie.
I'm not making
a 3-way with Zach? I don't know.
Zach got that. He got the information from Adam, and that's a very big play because that early on, it's that early in the merge. It's not like the sides are so set that it's like, okay, if we lose the numbers here, this vote goes through, then that's it. Then the remaining 4 of us is just going to be 4, 3, 2, 1, all of us out. So it wasn't as set in stone that if Zach let Dave go here, that's it. His game is over. He has no shot of winning. Like, it was so malleable, he absolutely could have pulled it back. And so he took a very large swing in giving up an idol. You're, definite safety 1 round, you want it to give it to someone else. And when, it's not necessarily the end of your game. It's not, you're not playing it on yourself, certainly. So I think that and we'll see if that works out or not, but it was the biggest move because he was going not with the definite, he's going with the Dave will definitely be safe, but I don't know how that's going to pan out. Is everyone going to be mad at me? Is, this going to mean that now I have the numbers? It was really a big play to make where he made it. And at the first vote of everyone together, you're really setting this is the tone that the rest of the individual is going to have, and to be the one to say, this is what that tone is a big spot to put yourself in.
Wonderful merge episode. Chaos will unfold.
Yes.
I know. I was like I don't know how long this is going to be because there's so much that goes. Like, we couldn't even film all the conversations because we only had so many cameras. And there were every group of 2 and 3 impossible that you can imagine. I do not envy you for having to sort through it all and put it together into an episode, Taylor, because there was just so much.
Thank you. I gave up on trying to get it under an hour. I was like, okay, this is the one that's going to be over an hour. I give up.
I mean, if any episode is going to be over an hour, you want it to be the merge episode where you have these people coming back from exile, this happening, 3 challenges, 2 challenges, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think considering everything that was going on, I think you did a great job, as always.
And especially such a volatile vote it went back and forth and back and forth, and all of us on production were like, we're not sure who exactly it's going to be.
That's so fun.
We could only see one conversation each, so like we'd be chatting. It's like, okay, I think it's leading towards Dave going, and someone else was like, oh, I wasn't hearing that. I was hearing that it was pretty locked in on like Topher, and it was all back and forth if no one had the full picture.
I love when that happens.
Did Topher pick a Tiki participant? Did I miss that or no?
I did not.
Pick yourself.
Yeah.
The one who got voted out. Oh my god. I was watching myself and I'm like, I'm bad-mouthing Lauren. I'm like doing a horrible shocked reaction when Nick is like, Callie tipped off Amelia. I'm like, bad acting.
You did a good job. He didn't know.
Yeah, you did.
No, but I don't know. I feel like the best player of the episode is probably someone who like didn't make that big of a splash this round. Someone like, because like we'll see. Like, I don't know. Like, there's still 10 people left and a lot of game left to be had. Like, whoever sticks out maybe is sticking out for the right reasons as a viewer, but maybe not the right as when you're a player in the game, or maybe someone who got their way now isn't going to get their way next round, or someone who maybe swung the votes their way this time won't be able to swing them their way next time. So I think the people to look for are probably the people who like were maybe more so like, just tell me a name this round. I just need to get my head through this round,
Yeah.
So Nick's the player for you.
I mean, Nick, I think like Amelia, for example, like her name was out there. Like, I said her name. A lot of people said her name. Yeah. She was malleable. She did what she needed to do to make it not her. Whereas other people who were safe were maybe making themselves into targets when they didn't need to be. She was shrinking her target. Callie shrunk her target. Even TJ, like, why wasn't TJ out there? Like,
why? It blows
so
my mind.
I think the people who were vulnerable and weren't me and didn't go home and weren't Dave and didn't get all the votes, like, I think any of the four of them who were not, or three of them, I guess, who were not Dave and me, like, any of them could have been the ticky because they knew how to survive a really vulnerable time and duck their head low enough to not make themselves too much of an ass like me.
I can dig it for
Great
sure.
point.
That's
Great
a
point.
really good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think some of
All
it
right.
is. Oh, I was going to say you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say I think
Please.
some of it is with so many people being safe too, but still getting to be in on it and be in on the vote and do all of that. Some people forget a little bit, like there's a vote next round, and there's going to be probably just one person safe who wins immunity. So a lot of them can get a little comfortable in like, all right, now let me, stick my neck out and everything, and forgetting that like, hey, there's more votes coming, and you will almost certainly be eligible to go home in at least one of those. So that's one thing too of like making sure in that position you don't play too hard where suddenly now it's like, well, okay, like last round, yeah, you played super big because you were safe, but now you're not safe. And so that's something that's interesting to have seen, like, okay, but how does that play out? Because season 3, we saw the final 3, it was people who played lower key games. A lot of the, tall poppy syndrome, the person who sticks the most out is the one who gets cut.
You talking about Andy?
Maybe I'm talking about Andy. Love Andy, but yes. I mean, we saw that through a lot of the votes, as like a lot of them was because Matt won through all behind the scenes stuff, not behind the scenes, but like not super public stuff he was doing. And so something to keep in mind is like you can make all your big plays and stuff, but don't go so hard because you feel so comfortable that now guess what, now it's you who's on the block. Now you're the one to get the big play made against you.
Some people are waiting in the shadows for their moment to strike.
Yeah.
And now to close this out, I'd like either Addison or Topher to go into the other room where the other person is. I just want you both in the same frame.
To prove we're actually in the same place.
This is the tactic they used when they made their audition videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're all in different
rooms. How big is this fucking house?
Yeah.
There he is.
It's real.
He's wondering how big this house is.
It's kind of small, but it fits. It fits up.
You stopped for some orange juice on the way or something? All right, this has been a very fun episode, but I think that we have covered it all. Topher, thank you so much for joining us.
He's talking. Hold on. He can't hear you. I had headphones on. Hello.
Topher, thank you so much for joining us. This was hilarious. This was great, and so great to see you. Continued success in your career. I'm so happy that you've moved on from being a substitute teacher to full-time guy. Keep it up. Keep going. Keep educating those little bitches. And Addison, tell him thank you.
Addison, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Taylor.
Thanks, guys.
Take us home.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, what up? What up?
This is making me so happy right now.
Look at these beautiful people.
What up?
You guys enjoying the season?
Addison's across the wall.
Sorry. Where's that?
Yeah, I'm in the same apartment, just in a different room.
That's how you guys apply to this thing.
I know, literally.
Callie, how are you? So good
I'm
to see you.
Good to see you too.
You all look great. So,
Thank
Thank you. We all got some work done.
Yeah.
I gelled my hair just for you, George.
I like that. Thank you so much.
No, I didn't know this was happening at all.
Sure. So yeah, hi everyone.
Hi.
So all right, so you're all right there. What do you think so far? We're at the merge. Are you enjoying watching the season? Is it weird watching yourselves back? What's the story?
I hate watching myself. It's hard.
Yeah, it's so awkward to hear yourself talk. And then you're like, oh, did I really say that? Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm having so much fun, but I must be a massive narcissist.
No, I
no.
I'm certainly.
Well, it's wonderful seeing all of you, but we have a date with Topher, so the rest of you go
Get out
drink
of
some
Bye.
beers.
See you soon, TJ.
He's got the personality.
No, it's not.
Love seeing you guys. Love seeing you guys and gals.
Cute.